Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People. In today's episode, good luck convincing people this is an ADA violation, buddy. Entitled neighbors, from walking into my house to eyeing up my garden. Entitled people try to reserve an EV charging station by blocking it until the rest of the group shows up. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Good luck convincing people this is an ADA violation, buddy. There's a local burger place that got a lot of traction after being featured on some food show. It was crazy busy already, but this just ramped it up. It sucks when I have a craving, but this much business means they'll be around for a long time. About a year ago, a patron went to the media. His version is that the restaurant violated his rights by not allowing him in with his service dog. I don't know why he thought he wouldn't be exposed. This place is always busy. It's always packed, except for the 5 or 10 minutes when they first open and people are entering to order and find tables. He was very quickly shut down by the many witnesses who said he and his dog were allowed in, and then the dog would not stop barking at everyone, made repeated attempts to dash out, but was on leash, so never escaped, tried to attack patrons. Attacked the server. The man did not deny any of this. He even doubled down and said he has rights, and his dog would never bite anyone. Last I heard, he has a lifelong ban at the restaurant and still trying to garner public sympathy. Edit, I should have put service dog in quotes lol, I thought it was obvious. I think it isn't because of the dog's outrageous behavior. One of my family members qualifies for a service dog, but was daunted by the cost/fundraising that would be needed. I know some people effectively train their own, but this dog sounds way too reactive to have received any training. Judging by its behavior, that is not an actual service dog. BTW, if there isn't already, there should be a required federal-level accreditation/registration process for service animals, and in most cases, it probably shouldn't include 99.9% of emotional support animals. Yeah, all service dogs are screened for behavior traits before they even begin training. My guess is it was either just a pet or an emotional support animal, which is not a service dog under the ADA. There was a service dog on our most recent airline flight. She was a perfect lady. Her job was to alert her diabetic owner if her blood sugar went up too much or down too much. They were in bulkhead seats next to my husband, and the dog laid quietly at their feet or sat up and looked out the window for the whole flight. Landings and takeoffs made her a little anxious, but people behind her probably didn't even know she was there. No barking, no growling, no attention paid to anyone but her owner. I recently flew beside a blind man who had a service dog that acted in a similar way. For almost the entire 4-hour flight, the dog sat under his seat and didn't cause a single disturbance. Towards the 3rd hour, he did stretch out a little into the aisle, but who could blame him lol. SDs do not act like that, at all. Service dogs are trained to within an inch of their lives and never exhibit behavior problems. That's how you tell the difference. Entitled neighbors, from walking into my house to eyeing up my garden. Thought my experiences with my new neighbors might fit here. So I first met James and Rose, fake names, when I heard my doorbell ring. I head downstairs and find them already in my living room. Yep. My girlfriend opened the door, and they just waltzed right in like they owned the place. Awkwardly said hello whilst guiding them back out the front door. Thought that was that, boy was I wrong. James and Rose bought an ex-council house that had been badly damaged by the last tenants. I'm talking busted walls, shattered windows, you name it. House was listed accurately, so none of this was a surprise to them. Strangely, I never had problems with the people who used to rent. Was amazed when they left and I saw the damage they'd done. James and Rose decided I'd be helping them out and had the audacity to come over with a contract they drafted, stating that their builders can use my garden, my bathroom, and that they could use my kitchen whenever they needed until theirs was installed. Them handing me this contract was the second time I ever interacted with them. I went round and told them it was ludicrous and to shove it. They weren't pleased and slammed the door in my face. Not too long after, I find them stood in my back garden. My girlfriend had been hanging up laundry, and they'd apparently heard her and decided to let themselves through my front yard, around the side of my house, and right up to her. Girlfriend was practically frozen holding up a pair of her pants whilst they were just stood there, looking around and smiling. They then suggested, given how unhelpful I'd been with their renovations, that I host a barbecue for them and their friends. What friends, you ask? Beats me. I shut that down quick and told them to never come through to my back garden again. But they weren't done and couldn't leave yet. They had the gall to propose, straight after being told to GTFO, that I give up roughly 1/5 of my garden so our gardens could be equally sized. I told them in no uncertain terms that they can forget it. Not my problem they bought a house with a smaller garden. I was seeing red and I think they knew they'd pushed it too far as they scampered away. I guess James and Rose decided that since I wouldn't willingly give them part of my garden, they'd try taking it instead. From my back room I saw some guy standing at the end of my garden. I went out to ask who he was and how the hell he got there, when in saunters, you guessed it, James and Rose. Turns out James and Rose had torn down our adjoining fence, and this guy was planning where the new one would go, clearly not having been told that it's my garden, and I absolutely was not on board with this plan. Oh, but wait, they also peeped through my windows and had questions about my belongings. I do kickboxing and have a bob, a life-size training dummy, and did I know that it's scary and should probably be moved away from the window? They didn't want to see it whilst they were enjoying their newly enlarged garden. I calmly told the man that I was keeping all of my garden and none of them had my permission to be there. I also informed them that if I catch them in my garden again, they're volunteering to be my new Bob. Last I heard, they tried to bully our 70-year-old neighbor into giving up part of his garden. He's got early onset dementia and his 4 of his 5 sons visit regularly, but don't live with him. I stay in contact with them as I go round to help my neighbor now and then, or just to chat and keep him company. He's a really cool guy, and hearing him upset about some contract and losing where his shed is, and I was fighting to not see red. One text to his sons and that nonsense was shut down real quick. I never thought I'd meet people this entitled, but here we are. Needless to say, James and Rose have kept their distance since my very explicit warnings, which extend to bothering our deal old neighbor too. My girlfriend is back to hanging up washing outside, but she won't open the front door without checking the ring cam first now, just in case it's them. Anyone else dealt with neighbors from hell like this? Edit, forgot to add. James and Rose also concreted over all of their front and back gardens and then got 4 cats. The amount of cat shit I have to pick up every day is wild. I've taken to picking it up and dumping the bags on their driveway. Edit 2, James and Rose are hated around here. A guy called Jim is our local handyman. Great at all those things you can't do, don't have the tools for, or don't have the skill to manage. Apparently after the first job he doubled his daily rate just for them. Either they won't hire him or he'll get double the money, win-win. You should read about the lady who thought she bought a whole building instead of the one condo she bought. She sent a whole new list of rules for everyone and would scream at people. I hope someone else knows what I'm talking about and can link it. I read it. She literally started handing out rules to her new tenants. It was hilarious. I guess not so much for the people that lived there. I grew up in a big city. We kept our doors locked. My wife grew up in a small town where they left their doors unlocked so their friends could come in. When we got our house in a fairly large city, my wife used to complain that I'd lock the front door and the gate to the backyard. Until one day, she watched a man walk right up to our house, try the door, then look in through the windows. Those complaints stopped. In 2003, I had just bought a house and was in the process of remodeling while living in it. I was sitting in the backyard and a neighbor opened my front door, sauntered through the house and walked outside to say hi. I was a single woman living alone and definitely did not appreciate his gall. Turns out he was a known troublemaker and was soon run out of the neighborhood. I just straight up call the cops next time they show up. I'm sure getting them in trouble will get the point across for them to F off. Entitled people try to reserve an EV charging station by blocking it until the rest of the group shows up. A group of people were on a road trip, planning to stop in Grovetown in Georgia, where there was a bank of 4 chargers. The first people got to the charging station and found that one of the stations was broken, and one of the other ones was in use, so they parked their non-electric vehicle in front of the free charger so when the rest of the group got there they could jump on immediately. A man pulled up in his car, which was very low on power, that had a baby inside. With temperatures soaring, it was critical that the AC keep running, but the seat saver refused to move, so the man called the cops. The cops came out and explained that while it isn't cool, no pun intended, to block a charger like that, there is nothing illegal about parking a gas vehicle in front of a charging station. Eventually, the rest of the group caught up. It was U.S. Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm, former governor of Michigan, who was on a multi-state road trip to promote electric vehicles. The car that was blocking the station was part of her advance team, sent to make sure she would be able to immediately pull up to the charger and pose for photos without having to wait. I would have left my car parked right in place. She and her staff are rude AF. Better yet, let her in, then keep her blocked until your car is charged up and ready to go. After all, the cop said there's nothing illegal about taking up that space. I'm not a US citizen, but as a human with common sense, what the placeholders did was wrong, inconsiderate, and just plain rude. Also, a person with stature, it sure confirms that the elite of this world would love to see the rest of us burn. May the repercussions of their actions come back to them in tenfold. This was Senator Debbie Stabinov's trip, and one of the people from her group tried to block the charger with a gas vehicle. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.